Hola and welcome to ProSpanish. So we'll start with se lo and then contrast that with se le, and we'll include plenty of fluency practice on the way. So se lo. We're going to split this up into two groups. And let's start with this. Me probé el abrigo. I tried on the coat. So we can see there that I tried on, or to try on, is a reflexive verb. Kind of works a little bit like I tried it on me, on myself, the coat. Me probé el abrigo. So let's see what it would be for he or she tried on the coat. Well, obviously reflexive, so it'd be se probó el abrigo. He or she tried it on themselves. Se probó el abrigo. And how about if we're going to say now, she tried it on. That's the coat. And that would be se lo probó. Se lo probó. So the lo there is taking the place of the abrigo. It's the it now. So he tried it on himself, or she tried it on herself. And if it was I tried it on, well, me probé is I tried on myself. I tried it on, me lo probé. Okay, so let's look at some more of these reflexive verbs that give rise to se lo. So I've put the infinitives. So quitarse algo, to take something off. Ponerse algo, to put something on. Llevarse algo, to take something away, to remove something. Okay, let's stick with our abrigo, the coat. And let's start off with I took off the coat. So quitarse, to take off. So me quité el abrigo. I took off the coat. Me quité el abrigo. I took it off. Me lo quité. Me lo quité. So now the lo there instead of the coat, instead of abrigo. Me lo quité. I took it off. And let's do the same for he or she. So he or she took off the coat. Se quitó el abrigo. Se quitó el abrigo. He or she took it off would be se lo quitó. Se lo quitó. He or she took it off. And let's say instead of un abrigo, we've got una chaqueta. So we're talking about una chaqueta. So let's have he or she took off the jacket. What would that be? Se quitó la chaqueta. Se quitó la chaqueta. And what about now if we wanted to say he or she took it off? And the it now is la chaqueta. Okay, so it can't be se lo quitó because the chaqueta is feminine. So it would have to be se la quitó. Se la quitó. He or she took it off. Okay, let's go to ponerse, to put something on. So to put is just poner, but when we're talking about putting clothes on ourselves, then we use the reflexive ponerse. So I put on the coat. Me puse el abrigo. Me puse el abrigo. I put it on. Me lo puse. me lo puse, I put it on. And of course, if we're referring to the jacket instead of the coat, so something feminine, me la puse, me la puse. Okay, so what would it be for, let's go straight to it this time rather than building it up. How would we say he put it on? And we're talking about the coat, el abrigo. And in case you don't know the past of put for he or she, this is irregular, it's puso, puso. So how would you say he or she put it on? Se lo puso, se lo puso. If it was just he or she put on the coat, and we were saying coat, we would say se puso el abrigo. But she put it, if we want to include it, se lo puso. And what would it be if we're talking about the jacket? She put it on, or he put it on, but it's talking about the jacket. That would be se la puso, se la puso. And our final one here is llevarse algo, to take something. This means to take something away from somewhere. So, for example, somebody's asking, where's that book? Oh, Pablo took it, meaning Pablo took it with him. Pablo took it away. So, llevarse algo. So, I took the book would be me llevé el libro. Me llevé el libro. I took the book. He or she took the book would be se llevó el libro. Se llevó el libro. And what would it be for he or she took it? Se lo llevó. Se lo llevó. And how about if we were talking about not a book, but a key? A key is feminine, la llave. So how would you say she took it? And we're referring to a key. Se la llevó. Se la llevó. And how about if we were talking about keys? Well, the la would have to change to las. She took them. Se las llevó. Se las llevó. Okay, so here we've got se lo quitó, he or she took it off. Se lo puso, he or she put it on. Se lo llevó, he or she took it away. And we'll just take a quick pause there while I mention our very popular Levels 1 to 6 course. This takes the complete beginner or a near beginner right up to a conversational level of Spanish in a series of very easy to follow steps. All the lessons on this YouTube channel are supplementary, whereas the core levels 1 to 6 is very much a step-by-step program delivered by the same teacher as all the other videos on the ProSpanish YouTube channel. And while the style is very similar to what you'll be used to from these videos on the channel, the key difference is that every lesson carefully builds on the previous lessons so that you can really feel that progress of going from very little or no Spanish up to a level where you can confidently hold a conversation in Spanish. So again, that's available exclusively from prospanish.co.uk. And there's another type of se lo, which is not to do with being a reflexive verb. So let's start with mandar. Mandar, to send. You can also use enviar, is also to send. I'm going to use mandar, to send. How would you say, I sent you something? Algo for something. I sent you something would be te mandé algo. Te mandé algo. And how about I sent it to you? What would that be? I sent it to you. Te lo mandé. So you need the it in there. Te lo mandé. Te lo mandé. I sent it to you. And how about if instead of to you, I sent it to him or her, and him or her is le. So how would we say I sent it to him or her? Well, logically, we just replace te with le, and we'd have le lo mandé. But phonetically in the Spanish sound system, that just does not sound right. So in Spanish, we change that le to se, and it's only because of the phonetics, because of the sound of it. Logically, it would be le lo, but le lo just sounds wrong. So instead of that, we say se lo. So the le has just been replaced by se, or you could just say that the L of le has been replaced by the letter S, just to make it sound better. So, se lo mandé. I sent it to him, or I sent it to her. Se lo mandé. So let's try it with these. Dar algo, to give something. Prestar algo, to lend something. Explicar algo, to explain something. And decir algo, to say something. Okay, the past of dar, so for I gave, is di. Di algo, I gave something. How would we say I gave you something? Te di algo. Te di algo. I gave you something. And I gave you it, or I gave it to you, would be te lo di. Te lo di. And I gave it to him or her would be, well, as we discussed before, logically, le lo di sounds wrong. Replace the le with se. Se lo di. Se lo di. I gave it to him or her. And it's worth noting now that I'm giving these explanations, I'm breaking it down for you, and it's really good to have kind of that structure internalized, but in conversation, it will be the practice that helps you. That's when it will become automatic. Okay, so se lo di, I gave it to him or her. Okay, let's go straight to I lent it to him or her. What would that be? Se lo presté. Se lo presté. And by the way, if you're having any difficulty with these verbs, conjugating them, putting them into the past, etc., then make sure you check out the free verb trainer available on prospanish.co.uk. It really does make a difference to that. Okay, so se lo presté. I lent it to him. Se lo presté. And remember, if we're not talking about lending a book, something masculine, but a feminine word, then it would be se la presté. The la referring to the object that's being lent. How about I explained it to him? What would that be? I explained it to him. Se lo expliqué. Se lo expliqué. And decir algo, to say something. So I said it to him. What would that be? And the past of to say said is dije. Dije. I said it to him would be se lo dije. Se lo dije. And it's worth noting now that in English we would very often say I told him. But with that construction we don't use I told him it. We either say I said it to him, or I told him or her. In Spanish, there isn't that kind of told construction. So it's always, the structure is always, I said it to him, or I said it to her. Se lo dije. So if you want to translate, I told him, you have to translate, I said it to him, I said it to her. Se lo dije. Se lo dije. Okay, let's have a little practice with what we've learnt for se lo. So remember, we started off, one was where the se is because there's a reflexive verb. Take off, put on. And just now we've seen it's se lo because we don't like the sound of le lo. Okay, so I've put me lo, te lo, and se lo. We could have in there la as well, but just to keep it straightforward for the practice, we're leaving it like that. And then we'll have dije, I said, dijiste, you said, and dijo, he or she said. Mandé, I sent, mandaste, you sent, mandó, he or she sent. Llevé, I took, llevaste, you took, llevó, he or she took. Probé, I tried on, probaste, you tried on, probó, he or she tried on. Di, I gave, diste, you gave, and dio, he or she gave. Okay, so let's try these. How would you say, he sent it to me? He sent it to me. What would that be? Me lo mandó. Me lo mandó. How would you say, I gave it to you? What would that be? I gave it to you. Te lo di. Te lo di. I gave it to you. Te lo di. How would you say, you gave it to him? What would that be? You gave it to him. Se lo diste. Se lo diste. How about, you said it to him? What would that be? Or you told him. Se lo dijiste. You said it to him yesterday. You told him yesterday. Se lo dijiste ayer. How about, I tried it on? What would that be? Me lo probé. Me lo probé. How about, you tried it on? Te lo probaste. And he or she tried it on. What would that be? Se lo probó. Se lo probó. How about, he went off with it. He took it away. What would that be? Se lo llevó. Se lo llevó. How about, I took it away? What would that be? Me lo llevé. Me lo llevé. And if you've got a friend to practice with, it would be good just to use this grid and just to take turns giving each other phrases to construct until it becomes more automatic. Okay, so that's se lo. Now let's have a look at se le. Let's start off with this. Hacerse tarde. Hacerse tarde means to get late. So it works like a reflexive verb. Strictly speaking, we'd call it pronominal rather than reflexive, but let's just say reflexive as is a common term. Hacerse tarde, to get late, to become late. And in the past it would be se hizo tarde. Se hizo tarde, it got late. Se hizo tarde. And if we want to say it got late for me, we would say se me hizo tarde. So we've got the se hizo tarde, it got late, but it affected me. So se me hizo tarde. And a lot of these phrases are very kind of idiomatic. They're kind of like expressions. And in that respect, se le is much easier to learn because they tend to stand out when you hear them. So, se me hizo tarde, it got late for me. And it got late for him or her would be se le hizo tarde. Se le hizo tarde. It got late for him or her. I'm giving that as a translation, but normally you need more kind of context to a phrase like that. So it could be something like somebody was really engrossed in a book and suddenly they looked at the clock and realized that it got quite late. And so it'd be se le hizo tarde. It suddenly got late for them. Or even sometimes the translation would just be it was late. But in Spanish, it conveys a little bit more information. So let's look at a few more. So se cayó is it fell. Se cayó. Or it could be he or she or it, but let's say it for our example. Se cayó, it fell. But if we say se me cayó, that would mean it fell from me. And in English, we would say I dropped it. And if it was he or she dropped it, it would be it fell from her or him. So se le cayó, se le cayó. So he or she dropped it, se le cayó. So let's look at another one. Se acabó is it finished. It finished, se acabó. But it can also mean it ran out, i.e. there wasn't any more left. And once we put in there se me acabó, it would be it finished for me, it ran out for me. And in English, that translation would just be I ran out of whatever it might have been. Se me acabó el azúcar. I ran out of sugar. And a common one would be this. Se me acabó la paciencia. Se me acabó la paciencia. I ran out of patience. So again, it's worth reiterating this, that with these particular ones, the se le, se me, they're very much expressions, and so you can just learn them as set phrases and don't worry too much about the grammar. But I'm explaining it now because it's interesting to know how it all works. So he or she ran out of patience would be se le acabó la paciencia. Se le acabó la paciencia. The patience ended for him or her. Okay, another very common one is se me olvidó. Se me olvidó. And that is I forgot. Se me olvidó. But you could just say olvidé something, the past. I forgot, olvidé something. But when you say se me olvidó, it gives the idea of it slipped my mind, because it's something that happened to me. So se olvidó, just the reflexive, it got forgotten. It forgot itself. And it happened to me. Se me olvidó. And the expression means it just slipped my mind. I forgot. Se me olvidó. So what would it be for it slipped her mind? What would that be? Se le olvidó. Se le olvidó. or it slipped his mind. And another very common one that you'll hear is se me ocurrió, se me ocurrió. And that means it occurred, so it occurred or it occurred itself, se ocurrió, and it occurred to me. Se me ocurrió, it occurred to me. What would it be? It occurred to him. Se le ocurrió, se le ocurrió. How about it didn't occur to her? No se le ocurrió, no se le ocurrió. Okay, let's do a little practice of this. So the vocabulary we've already seen. Acabó, referring to run out or finishing. Olvidó, forgetting. Ocurrió, occurring, or obviously we're using the past here, occurred. And cayó, fell, but used in the expression for dropped. We have algo, something. Algo importante, something important. El arroz, the rice. And la leche, the milk. And obviously se me, se te, and se le. Okay, so how would you say I ran out of milk? Se me acabó la leche. Se me acabó la leche. How would you say you dropped something important? Se te cayó algo importante. Se te cayó algo importante. How about you dropped the milk? And we would say you spilt the milk here, but you dropped the milk works. Se te cayó la leche. Se te cayó la leche. How about she dropped the rice? Se le cayó el arroz. Se le cayó el arroz. How about she thought of something important? Or something important occurred to her. What would that be? Se le ocurrió algo importante. Se le ocurrió algo importante. How about something slipped my mind? Let's say something important slipped my mind. I forgot something important. Se me olvidó algo. Se me olvidó algo. What about if it was just it slipped my mind? Now don't be tempted to think, oh, it, that must be lo, because the it is contained within the reflexive bit. So for example, if we're saying se cayó, that means he, she, or it fell. Se acabó, he, she, or it finished. Se olvidó, he, she, or it got forgotten or forgot itself. Okay, so I can't even remember the phrase that I asked, but let's say she forgot it. Se le olvidó. Se le olvidó. It slipped her mind. How about, and we'll carry on with a couple of it ones. How about it occurred to her? Se le ocurrió. Se le ocurrió. How about she dropped it? Se le cayó. Se le cayó. Okay, so to summarize, we started with se lo, and we split it into two groups. We said one where the verb is reflexive, so se lo probó, he or she tried it on. Then we had se lo, where the se is a substitute for le to avoid the weird sound of le lo. In the example of I gave it to him or her, se lo di, not le lo di. So that's just to avoid a weird sound. And then right now we've seen se le, where they're predominantly more idiomatic kind of expressions. And you'll learn these as you go along, and you'll kind of learn them as almost like set phrases. And this is where the verb is reflexive, and then it acts on a person. So in the instance of he or she dropped it, se le cayó, it fell from him or her. Or se me cayó, I dropped it. Okay, and that concludes today's Pro-Spanish lesson. So as mentioned earlier, if you're looking to become a confident and a competent speaker of Spanish, then head over to prospanish.co.uk, where you can download the full levels 1 to 6 course.